Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Philanthropy World. My name is Roy Kessel, and I am the founder of the Sports Philanthropy Network. We're so excited that you're able to join us here today. We wish it could be in person, but we know that you're going to have a great opportunity to meet interesting people over these next few days. We have incredible speakers for our keynotes, great people on our main stage, but I want to tell you that many of our breakout sessions are led by people with the credentials, experience, and charisma to be on this main stage. I encourage you to participate in as many of them as possible. We are here to reach out, collaborate, share ideas, and find out how you can help each other. We are all part of this same community, those who share a passion for using the power of sports to improve the world, foster social change, fight for social justice, and enhance our communities around the globe. Every single one of us understands the impact that sports can make in the world. Where we differ is how we use sports to make that impact, where we make that impact, and what we choose to do with the limited resources that are available to us. In launching the Sports Philanthropy Network, our goal was to give a larger voice to all of you, to spotlight the outstanding work that is already being done, to help publicize and promote your organizations, to find creative solutions and technologies that would enhance your fundraising, impact measurement, operations, and programs. Since I have had the good fortune to interact with our panelists and moderators, I know that you are in store for an amazing 2 days. I've had the privilege of learning from each of them during our conversations and look forward to learning more over the course of Sports Philanthropy World. I encourage you to listen and ask questions. Too often, people accept the status quo and resign themselves to the way things are. Please think about how your organization can accomplish more, how we can work together to get better results, how we can help each other find partners for programs. While we have a diverse base of people and organizations involved with the Sports Philanthropy Network, the issues that you face are likely faced by many other organizations. The ideas and solutions that you have are probably ideas and solutions that would help others. The need for bringing everybody together is clear. I wish we could do it in person. The response to Sports Philanthropy World 2020 has been overwhelming. We have over 400 people registered for our event. They come from 35 states, 30 countries, and represent over 300 organizations. Over the last year, we have had literally thousands of people connect with us, trying to find out how they can support our mission to build stronger, healthier, and more inclusive communities. You are fortunate to be here. We are still at the beginning of building this community of people who share the passion and vision for making meaningful change. We have a long way to go, a lot of work to do, and a lot of lives to change. Next year, Sports Philanthropy World 2021 will be held June 28 and 29. Given the current environment, we don't know if it'll be live or virtual. The virus will decide. As you listen over the course of the next 2 days, we want to hear from you. Think about what else you would like to see, what other topics we need to cover, what type of speakers you want to learn from. Your evaluations and feedback will be instrumental in helping us. Remember, this is your Sports Philanthropy World Conference. We want to make sure you are benefiting from your participation. We want to make sure that you're meeting the type of people that you want to meet. We want to help you locate the resources, financial and otherwise, that will help your organization grow. The Sports Philanthropy Network is here all year. We encourage you to engage with us on social media. Read our weekly newsstand. Subscribe to our newsletter. List your events on our event calendar. Listen to our podcasts. We now have not only the Sports Philanthropy podcast that you know and love, but we have added Kayla Bradham's Legacy After the Locker Room podcast, where she speaks to former athletes about how they are impacting their communities. At our events, all of our speakers are part of the Sports Philanthropy community. We encourage them to stay and participate, not just present. Engage with them, talk to them, learn from them. By doing so, they will also be able to learn from you. On behalf of the entire Sports Philanthropy Network team, we want to welcome you to Sports Philanthropy World. We have an incredible team, and this event could not have occurred without the help of our talented group. I want to thank all of them at the outset so they do not get lost in the shuffle of activity over the next 2 days. You will see some of them on the stage as moderators, others welcoming you to various sessions. Kayla Bradham, our tireless and dedicated VP of Community Development. Jack Wasserman, Director of Development, who has been a master at getting the technology platform working for everyone. Brian Zuzga, our Director of Corporate Relations, who has been reaching out to every professional sports franchise league, governing body, sports commission, and many more. Abby DeRossi, our Director of Communications, who has done an amazing job managing both internal and external communications. Kelsey Danolo, who did an incredible job handling communication with many of our speakers and coordinating panels. Tony Puglisi, who tirelessly worked to update graphics and prepare them for our speakers and panels, as well as a fabulous team of interns who each made enormous contributions to preparing for Sports Philanthropy World. Hallie, Ryan, Ethan, Wasim, Charles, Alexandra, Stella, Vanessa. We appreciate everybody and all of the work that they did. Before we bring on our featured speaker, a few housekeeping issues to make your experience better. The main stage will host the larger panels and keynote conversations. The other tracks of programming for the breakout sessions are all listed in chronological order under the sessions on your left side of the screen. You can read about each speaker on their profile page. We have our pop pitch competition tomorrow morning. Please check out our 3 finalists and consider contributing to their organizations, or if you prefer, you can contribute to the pop pitch pot for us to distribute to the contestants. We have a variety of workshops over the next 2 days. You should have seen that in your confirmation email this morning, and it's on the workshop page. I encourage you to complete your personal profiles. It will make your experience better, and people will be able to find you more easily. And as you post on social media, please use hashtag SPW2020 or Sports Philanthropy so people can find the conversation. So now let's get to the show. To introduce Warrick Dunn and Darrin Gray, I want to bring up Kayla Bradham, our VP of Community Development. Kayla?
Thank you so much, Roy. Good morning, everybody. Again, as Roy resonated, I'd like to thank Brian, Jack, Abby, and our interns for making this conference the success that it is. I'm so happy this morning to introduce Darrin Gray, one of my 3 favorite sports heroes. Darrin is a sports ministry leader with Athletes in Action. He's a sports philanthropy consultant, an MC, a speaker, and a sports champion that aligns partners, media, donors, investors, and athletes for sports ministry and for philanthropy. If Darrin wasn't at today's event, he'd be working on the 33rd annual Bart Starr Award, which is an NFL-sanctioned Super Bowl breakfast, broadcast, and charity event that will be held in Tampa on Saturday, February 6th, to raise funds that extend global influence through sports ministry at every level. Mark your calendar to attend the Bart Starr Award breakfast Saturday, February 6th in Tampa, either in person or virtually. Darrin has a unique window into the NFL by virtue of his relationship with Tony Dungy's fatherhood program, All Pro Dad. As an NFL minister, he's connected at the heart level with countless NFL athletes, coaches, and alumni that he calls the Ministry of Availability. Darrin co-authored the book, The Jersey Effect, Beyond the World Championship, with foreword by Tony Dungy. Darrin and his wife of 26 years, Leslie, live just outside of Indianapolis with their 4 children. You can follow Darrin on social media at All Pro Dad Leader. Again, that's All Pro Dad Leader. So I told you that Darrin is one of my 3 favorite sports heroes, and I'm blessed and honored to introduce the second. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2013, I found myself fighting an uphill battle. I was suddenly a single mom with 8 children. Here's the thing. Nobody will run to a single mom with 8 kids. I was working 4 jobs at a time to provide for my children, but the only place that I could find willing to rent to me was in one of Milwaukee, Wisconsin's most dangerous and economically challenged neighborhoods. The rent cost $400 more a month than my current mortgage, and our home was infested with squirrels that would literally try to eat through the doors at night to attack the children. So I know what it's like. Of course, I wanted more for my kids. And of course, it was one of the hardest times in my life. People hear this story and they're amazed, but it's true. And that is why I am so proud and honored to introduce my second sports hero, Mr. Warrick Dunn. Thank you.
Well, what an introduction, Warrick. Right, the heart of the matter.
No, she took me back with that a little bit. So I'm thank you, Kayla, for that introduction. And well, being one of her favorite sports athletes, so that's pretty cool.
Well, we're joined today to think about the deeper meaning behind philanthropy in sports.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, Warrick, I did a little studying about you last week. We've known each other for about 7 years. You came to a green room in Atlanta, Georgia for an event called All Pro Dad Live. Tony Dungy, Jeff Foxworthy, Coach Rick. We had a great lineup, and you just came in through a common friend and just were present. It really was in some ways the ministry of availability, and you came in and you didn't have an active role in the program, but you came to bring your good nature and your love and your humility, and it cast a spell over the room that really made it a better room. And as a result, our friendship was spawned, and we'll talk about some of those things that we've done over the years. But before we go there, I'm going to bring forward 3 things that you've said publicly that have made a difference. You've said you plant seeds, you never know how they'll grow. You said it's important to create positive change because it gives people hope. And finally, you said it always starts with the individual.
Right.
Now, you've set up a framework of philanthropy. I'm going to bring forward some of your sports accomplishments here in a minute. But this being a sports philanthropy conference, just share with us for a minute about your deep love for people and why it is that you think it's important to give people hope.
Well, I mean, I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and just growing up, I just think my journey to this day, I mean, people have always been in my life. They've always supported me. They've helped guide me. But it's been strategic people, individuals that have been there for me in my time of need. And I've said this for years. You know, one of the reasons that I think I'm so passionate about giving back is not just because of what my mother did and my grandmother did, because I mean, they accepted anyone. They brought anyone into our home. They fed anyone. I mean, they just really had a great and open nature to care about people. You know, but you know, when I lost my mom my senior year of high school, the city of Baton Rouge, I mean, they really taught me what it means to give back and care about your neighbor. And they started a fund for us, and that's how we were able to pay bills. I was 18 years old and the oldest of 6. So, you know, for me, I think that's the lesson that I learned, and I really didn't understand it at 18 years old. You know, I went to college 4 years. Then when I went to Tampa, and when I got drafted by the Buccaneers, Coach Dungy, when he challenged the rookies that year, he helped me reflect on the journey that I had been through, things that I've never, gotten over or that I dealt with personally. And it just really helped me open up my heart and see that there's other individuals who may go through something similar that my mom went through. And that really started my journey on, you know, I can't really care about myself. I'm thankful, I'm fortunate, you know, I'm living a better life. How can I help other individuals, have a better day, put a smile on their face? How can I, create these life-changing moments, right? That not just, I'm not trying to help someone just for the day. I want to have a long-term effect that hopefully changes the outcome and gives them a better opportunity to be successful long-term. And, just growing up, having individuals in my life that have been like father figures, I don't know if I'll be here today. So I credit my father figures, men that I looked up to, that I got guidance from, but also just the support in Baton Rouge. But you also got to have that leadership who help guide you down that path. And Coach Dunn was definitely the one who pushed me towards that. He didn't actually push me, but he gave me, he challenged us. And I love challenges because I was always small underdog guy, so I always had to prove that I could do it. And this is something that he challenged, and I just look forward towards the challenge, and I came up with something, and it became part of who I am.
Well, and I understand that you didn't just have a special relationship with Tony, which I'm going to present a special message from him to you in a few minutes, but I know that you also had a very special relationship, with Lauren, who invested in you and went to parent-teacher conferences. I've heard wonderful stories about how, not just the Bucks, but about Tony and Lauren, this generative couple, right, giving life, speaking life, and being present for you. Talk about what that meant to have a strong woman like Lauren Dungy invest in you as a rookie at the Buccaneers.
Well, if you would think that I'm not being the oldest of six, my responsibility was my 5 brothers and sisters, and I've always stayed true to that. And when the youngest 3 I felt weren't doing good enough or well enough in school, I felt it was my responsibility to move them to Tampa with me. And I did that. So I played my rookie year. They weren't there. But going into my second year, I moved them all in with me. So Coach Dungy knew that. And I talked to Lauren about that. And I just asked for some assistance. I mean, I'm a young guy supposed to be hanging out with his teammates and enjoying, being a recent NFL Rookie of the Year winner, so forth. I didn't have the luxury to go hang out and party and with my teammates. My responsibility was my family. So, when I had to figure out what school to put them in, how they were going to get to school every day, who's going to, I was giving them chores. I mean, I was a full-blown parent.
Yes.
At 23 years old, where I was making sure I was cooking them dinner or taking them out to eat at least once a week, made sure they had chores. I was picking them up from school. I was, going to PTA meetings, and I really relied on Coach Dungy's wife to help me, like give me guidance. She's already been through this with her kids, and she was going through it with those guys. And so this was just like a carryover. She came and we attended PTA meetings together, teacher parent conferences. So she really helped me guide me to get me to understand the right questions to ask. I didn't know everything. I just, growing up, not having that father figure and really relying on my mom for, to be the breadwinner, it's a lot of things I had to learn on my own. So Miss Dungy, she really helped, mold me in a sense to not think about yourself. You got to think about the big picture, long term. How is school, how is the academics part of the school, but also the athletic part. I Friday nights, I was going to football games. I was going to basketball games. I was going to track meets, and I didn't have an off season. My off season was in Tampa with the kids. So it was different. But she supported me. She helped guide me, and they were always there for me during that time. And they knew that, I had a game on Sunday, stressful, when you're playing professional football, because every move is being critiqued, but also knew that it's just a game. My life really starts when I come home and I have those 3 younger ones that I needed to make sure that they got a high school diploma and got the opportunity to go to college, and they did, and I'm proud of them. They're all so far good citizens. I didn't do a bad job.
Well, you did. I think Coach Dungy's words are ringing in our ears. Gentlemen, this is your profession, but this is not your life.
Right.
Right? How you conduct yourself outside of this place where we'll train and work toward the betterment of a team is not what will ultimately define you. And Warrick, you are defined in so many ways by your identity as a young man who became a father too early, right? 18 and a couple days. And we are so proud of you. And Lauren called it, she could help in small ways through regular conversations. And she called you mature and wise beyond your years.
Wow. Yeah.
What a tribute, right? From just a couple that has spoken life into so many athletes. And so I took the time, I was reflecting on all of that, and I thought, you know what? Because I can, I'm going to check in with Coach, and I'm going to say, hey, just how might we speak some life today as we think about what philanthropy is? The word phil means to love. The essence of the word philanthropy, the end of that word, anthropy, is just humans. It's to love humans. And when you add the word sports, it's this idea that's derived, it means to strive together. So we're striving together to love more and love humanity. It sort of speaks to all of these things. And that's why I've been in the world of sports philanthropy since 1997 when I was in the media business. And I just fell in love with this way of connecting athletes to causes and speaking life to athletes so they could speak life to people. Right. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you if you'll allow me to. This is much longer than I expected to get, but much richer. It's rich. And here we go. So for all of you that don't know, retired NFL head coach Tony Dungy, Super Bowl champion, the first African-American to win a Super Bowl, quite an accomplishment. But he won one as a player for the Steelers, and he won one as a pro. And so he is in the Hall of Fame today. But when I asked him about Warrick Dunn to share with me about the character of the man, this is what he said, verbatim. People often ask me who the best player I ever coached was. I really can't answer that. But when they ask me who my favorite player was, I say Warrick Dunn. That says a lot because I've coached an awful lot of young men. With Warrick, it's not just about his talent, because his talent was amazing. But it's because of the person who he was, what he contributed to the team, and what he contributed to the community. When we were preparing for the 1997 draft, Derrick Brooks was in my office constantly, exclamation point. Right? You know this. We have to get Warrick Dunn. He will be perfect for what we need. He'll make big plays, but more than that, he'll be the leader. And he'll be what you talk about when you think of a role model and a good person. He was all that and more, as in you. Warrick was all that and more. What he did on the field, winning Rookie of the Year, helping us to the playoffs 4 times in the next 5 years, doesn't even compare with what he did for his family, the Bucks, the community on and off the field. Everyone knows about the 150 homes for single moms that he has helped to provide over the years. But again, that's only a tiny part of his story. His determination to overcome adversity, his care for his siblings in the face of that adversity, and his care for his community, and his complete humility. His desire to use the gifts God has given him, not for personal fame and glory, but to further God's kingdom. It still brings tears to my eyes every time I think of Warrick. He is a very special man, and I am so thankful that God brought him into my life and allowed me the opportunity to coach him.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's, coming from Coach Dungy, I mean, that says a lot. I mean, because I feel I've learned early on in life, right? I mean, my mom had adult conversations with me starting when I was 14 years old. I was helping her make decisions. So I had to grow up fast. But also learned over the years is that the Lord does, they bring people in and out of your life for a reason. And they have you touch certain people for a reason. It's always on purpose. And it can teach you something that helps you move forward, or you may need a specific guidance to get to the next step. And Coach Dungy, I just think he was probably at that particular time in my career, in my life, he was there for me, and he challenged me in the right way. And I tried to make sure that that challenge was something that I could relate to, that I could be passionate about, and not just do something in the community because someone tells you. I wanted to make sure that I had a connection, that I could be passionate, and it is. I don't feel like it's work. I mean, it's just, hey, I love to do this, and it's something I'll get up and do every day. And I think Coach also understood that my love for the game didn't change. I mean, I'm competitive today. If I needed to go out and play, then I'll try to put some pass on the plays. But I was just so competitive on the field. But when I got off the field, I knew that it wasn't about me anymore. It was about other individuals that may be having challenging times, that may need a little bit of assistance, But I had a lot of growing up to do still. I had a lot of issues that I had to deal with personally, right? I mean, I know Coach Dungy, I never went to counseling when I was living in Tampa at the time. And, once I'm sure, found out about that later, for me, that was another opportunity for growth because, you can only imagine as a player, if I didn't have the guidance of Coach Dungy, now would I have, kept it all together? Because I never grieved. I never really went to counseling. I never really dealt with the loss of my mother. And I just think he was, God sent, and he helped me actually I treated the Homes for the Holidays program as like therapy. Yeah, that's helping those individuals. And when I first started it, honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. The more that I could see that life-changing moment on someone's face, that's when I was like, wow, this is something I want to do all the time. And that impacted me because the same journey my mother was on, these individuals were on. And now that helped me in a way as a coping mechanism. And I just had to get to the point where I was really ready to go to counseling and all those things. But, Coach Dungy, for me, he's God sent, and I'm forever thankful and grateful to have played under him, but to have gotten the guidance from him and his family. I mean, I'm thankful.
Is special, and you are too. And what you learned far too early, that becomes right the one of the driving forces, as noted by the photograph just behind you. And you've talked about it in your book, Running for My Life. Publicly, you've shared of this. It's not a secret, but just share with some of the viewers that may not fully understand how the tragic events, the violent death of your mom, helped to infuse in you a passion to serve, especially single moms and families. And then we're going to take that all the way to modern time, and we're going to talk about an NFL player that ultimately was impacted by your work.
Well, just a little background on it. So I was a senior in high school. I was actually going through the college recruiting process. And my mom, she was a Baton Rouge City police officer that was working overtime, extra duty to make extra income. You got to think, she's raising 6 kids, only making $36,000. We could never afford to purchase a house. All we could do is rent. And I knew her dream was to get us a stable environment. She wanted a place that we can call home, but I also knew she couldn't afford the down payment. She couldn't really afford to furnish the home if we did move, because we were renting furniture. So we were rent. And I know that night, 2 days after my 18th birthday, my mom was working extra duty as a police officer at a grocery store. And herself and the grocery store manager was making a routine night deposit at a bank. And they went to make the deposit. My mom drove through the exit way, entered into the exit way, so that the manager could just lean over and drop the money into the slot. And they had two guys that opened fire on a police car. And my mom was killed instantly. For some way, the grocery store manager was able to slam her foot on the gas and drove the car or steered the car to a store. And I got a phone call at 12. I want to say right after 12:30, saying my mom had been shot from a family friend who was a police officer. And I thought he was joking. I was like, "Oh man, stop it. Stop playing." He said, "No, I'm serious. Don't wake anyone up. I'm coming to get you. We're going to the hospital." And on that drive, we didn't really say anything because I could see how serious he was. We got to the hospital really quick. And when I first got to the hospital, people don't know that they took me into a room and the police chief was on the phone. And he's like, "Warrick, I'm very sorry. We're going to find out who did this. We're going to get those guys who did this." Mind you, think about it, I still have no idea what happened. Nothing at all. And then I said, "Okay, yes, sir." I hang up the phone and I go into the next room. And now I see my mom's body laying on a table of police officers surrounding the bed. And, in that moment, I just said, "Oh my God." I had to take a step back. Then the first individuals that I thought about was my brothers and sisters. I said, "Oh, I have to go home and be there for them."
No.
And I, not a little bit after that, I ended up going back home to be with my brothers and sisters. But from that moment, understanding my life had changed. Fast forward to years later when Coach Dunn challenged us, I was just trying to think about like, how can I use something that was so negative in my life, that was life changing? How can I use that, for positive, in a positive way? And I talked about these ideas, the things that my mom had been through. And we talked about home ownership. It's like, wow, can I help single mothers, who were in a similar situation my mom went through? Can I help them purchase a home? Like, yeah, okay, well, can we fully furnish the home as well? So that I want them to have a true fresh start to home ownership. And, that's how it was. The program was born because of my mom's dream of home ownership. So, to date now, we've been able to help 100 and, I may get this wrong, 82, 83. I need to look. 180. I think we're up to 183 single parent families that we've helped over now going on 23 years. So we've been able to expand our programs into different markets, and we've opened it up to single fathers as well. So now we help single parent families. And when I started it, we focused on single mothers, but over the years, we've been able to expand it to single parents because I just felt like fathers, they have the same issues. This issue is just not for a mother, but it's also for men who may be the guardian of their kids. So we wanted to help them as well. So we've been able to really expand the program, and this has been a life-changing experience for me because I've been able to meet a lot of different people, touch a lot of different people, hear a lot of different experiences, reading their story. And believe it or not, I was really drawn to individuals who had a similar journey that my mom had, who was making an ultimate sacrifice, who was, couldn't be at home because they were trying to provide and put a roof over their kids' head. Those are the individuals that I connected with. And, we've just been so blessed to still be around. And, I don't do this for fame. I don't really care about that. I mean, that's the one thing I think, that the Bucks, my publicists, they forced me to want to do media, this or that. I was just wanting to write a check because I did this when I was playing. I wrote a check out of my own pocket. I didn't have a nonprofit. I didn't fundraise. I used to just write the check out of my own pocket to pay for all this stuff. And I helped them with the down payment and fully furnished their home. So, And I never wanted to tell anybody, just because I just wanted to do the right thing and not necessarily the popular thing of going out and telling people. So for me, I try to keep it close to heart, because I knew, and I do know that, my mom behind me, her sacrifice and her commitment, it was her dream. So I'm just pretty much continue to try to live her dream, because there's other individuals that are going through something similar. So I just want to be able to help those guys. And I can care less about the attention. I just want to help people. And if I could do it privately, I would. But I got pressure from the Bucks and from the Falcons and my publicists about you have to talk about this and bring more awareness.
You are the quintessential pro. I am so proud of you.
Yeah.
What it is that you accomplish by providing families with life-changing opportunities through affordable housing that breaks the cycle of intergenerational poverty. That moves from inspiration. A lot of pros are willing to do inspirational work. They might show up and do a message or say something, and that all matters. That's all good.
Right.
But you're moving from inspiration to transformation, where you are transforming the very nature of a family so that for generations to come, right, there will be a new day in that household. And that is to be applauded and lauded beyond that of the average man's philanthropy. And while at one level to you, hey, it seems like a small thing, Coach says all the time, right? Extraordinary leaders don't just do extraordinary things. They do the ordinary things better than anyone else. They come in and they make time for people. And I hear you say, hey, I don't need the media attention. And quite frankly, I know that you don't, because I know you. I've walked with you in some places and I've seen you eschew that. It's like, that's not important to me. But what I appreciate about you was a comment that I heard you make publicly in an interview. Someone asked you one time, like in the early home building process and home process, they asked you, well, how did it affect you? And you described it as, I would go home at night and I would watch it again on TV. Mm-hmm. And the surprise, the awe, the excitement of that evening, you relived it and it deepened, right? So in some ways that media, perhaps it was for you, to remind you of how proud people are and how transformational that work is. And so I just wanted to bring that back to you, just to remind you.
Well, I was just thinking back on that. I do remember like really taking it for granted in the beginning, right? I just think mentally what I was going through or what I hadn't dealt with before messed with my mindset. And, I just had to get to the point where now I started to really understand after watching this life-changing moment on television, on a news coverage. I was like, wow, man, that was life-changing. This is something that I want to do. Like, how can I make it better? How can I be better? But it also from, like I say counseling, people, I don't think really understands that, you have a tragic event, you have to figure out a way to manage all those emotions, the things that you're going through. And I didn't go crazy. I didn't turn to the violent route or payback route. My focus was my brothers and sisters, but I also think over the years, once I finally started going to counseling, I understood all of the issues that I had internally I had to deal with, how this one incident changed every facet of my life, how I perceive, death, relationships, love. I mean, just what family means to me. I mean, this incident changed all that. It's some positive, but it's also some negatives. It's things that I've had to like try to balance over the years so that I can just be whole. And everything is about growth. I've just been able to grow over the years and really understand and appreciate that the journey of home ownership, but also I had an opportunity to really, I've learned more from other individuals about their journey, about the issues that they're having and how we can improve the things that we do as an organization at the charity. And so now we have a financial literacy program. We also have our financial literacy program is called Count on Your Future, where we try to really incentivize families to now let's start saving money as well. So we have a matching program where if they invest at least up to $500, we will match them up to $500. So they would have $1,000 in a savings account. So because we're thinking about the long-term strategy and not just, okay, what we need today. We also have a program that's called SCOPE, a healthy food initiative, where we try to educate families healthy foods and quick meals, being strategic where you can actually use coupons. Most people are too prideful to use coupons to go shopping. And, we also started teaching families to build their own vegetable boxes and go home and have a home garden. So we're really just trying to expand because we want to touch people in different ways that helps ease the burden a little bit, but it would give them a much more long-term strategy to be successful long-term. So I've been able to take something negative and use it for positive, but I can't say it takes a team, right? It takes a team of people to help you be your best. And I've tried to surround myself with a really good team. And that all comes from football. I mean, for me to be successful, I had to really believe in the fullback, the line, the receivers, but I also had to do my part and really study the defense, the tendencies, where guys are going to be, understand the game, understand what you have, then you go out and you play and leave it all on the field. So I tried to leave it all on the field, but I'm also trying to leave impressions in the community that hopefully it could change a kid's life, because it's not about the parents anymore. It's really about the kids in the future, what type of lifestyle they're going to live and how they're going to break their cycle of generational poverty. So we're forward thinking, and things happen for a reason. I've learned that, but life has been a blessing.
The test that became the testimony, right? The mess that became the message, right? You are living that forward. And I want everyone to understand it's WD Charities and WD Communities. If you go to those two, you'll find it. It's out there. There's a lot of media and programming around that. You can help. And I believe there's somebody on this call here today that's a philanthropist that's going to be deeply attracted to your work, and it's going to call you or your philanthropy unit, your team, and they're going to get involved and they're going to help to support and make that possible.
Well, no, I appreciate it. So let me just make sure people understand that we have Warrick Dunn Charities, and that website is www.charities.org, but it's Warrick Dunn Charities, and that's our Home to Our Holidays program, where we help single-parent families who are becoming first-time homeowners, and that's giving them $5,000, but also fully furnishing their home. So that's the program everyone hears about. Most people thought I was building all these homes all these years, and we weren't really building, but now we are. So I started another nonprofit called WD Communities, where we're actually going out in different communities and building only affordable housing. I'm not about making profit. I'm not about other builders. I want to be able to help individuals have affordable, a mortgage instead of paying $2,000. I know the rent now is just crazy with a 2-bedroom, whatever. We want to be able to help individuals that are trying to help themselves. So in this program, what we have now, we're building affordable housing in the city of Augusta right now. We have 3 homes that are going up. One is already under contract. We're about to have a 4th one under contract as well. But with this, once you purchase one of our homes, you have to be committed to at least we have financial literacy, health and wellness, education, attainment, workforce development, entrepreneurship. You have to take part in these programs for at least 5 years. And for me, it's important because what I've learned over the years is that we all have habits. We've all have taken a class and we've learned something. We used it for the first month, and then you revert back to what you been doing your whole life. So I want to be able to help push these individuals and hold them accountable, in their life. So I want to make sure they go to counseling. They're working out, healthy mind, healthy body. I think gives you a better outcome. I want to be able to help people if they need to go and get a GED or get a certain certificate to improve job performance. We want to help people who may have really good ideas, entrepreneurs. We want to be able to help them. So we're just thinking holistically. And again, that financial literacy piece is that we want to make sure that we help individuals that are trying to help themselves financially spend more on need and not necessarily things that you want. And I didn't say this too, the Count on Your Future program, which this WD community is going to take part in as well, is that they have access to a financial advisor for at least 2 years. So we talk about budgeting monthly. You're really holding people accountable, but we want to make sure that they have access to this, but they have to take part in this program for at least 5 years. So we're building a model that we can take to other cities. So we've already started talking to other communities, but we started in Augusta. We're building a model that we're going to bring to other communities. So because affordable housing is a crisis in this country, and I mean, people want to live in the cities. They don't want to be displaced or kicked out of their communities. So we want to be able to help individuals be strategic, be smart, but also you have to break the cycle. Generational poverty. It's not just the first generation, but the second. So it's a lot of stuff to do, but we do have wdcommunities.org and wdcharities.org as well. It's two separate organizations. They could support each other because WD Communities, we want to help not just single parents, two-parent household, military families. We want to help anyone that is trying to take the step forward, but also breaking that cycle of generational poverty. So we just want to help people. It's not about profit for me. I don't make anything. I mean, I just want to be able to support people that are trying to help themselves.
Through this discussion, we're learning about who you are, what you do with your WD Communities projects and all that surrounds that. And we're learning also about why you do it, the heart behind the man. And there was one particular family that you touched, 11-year-old boy. Will you tell us a quick story about that, just to land this plane, and then I'll guide us through about 10 more minutes of interaction, and we'll have some fun as we close today.
Okay, well, believe it or not, I had no idea I was playing with the Atlanta Falcons at the time. We did a home in Gainesville, Georgia, and I remember the home vividly. As the driveway, you go down and you go into the home. We helped Deshaun Watson, and people want to give me credit, but it really goes to his mother. I mean, she set the foundation, but we were able to assist his mom, and Deshaun was 11 years old. Years later, he became a ball boy for the Atlanta Falcons. And, to this day now, he's really taking what he's learned, the support that he got early on, he's paying it forward with the Houston Texans and in Texas. So I'm just happy that he's really grown and taking a seed that was planted years ago. He's really, he's made his own garden, his own field of trees that he's going and blessing other individuals. So I'm just happy that he's been able to, one, be successful, have the opportunity to play the game that he loves, but just take it to another level and support individuals and not thinking about himself. He understands the journey. He's been through it. So it's great to see that he's paying it forward as well.
Indeed he is. But he also is part of a fraternity of 25,000 men. That's it. In the whole world, only 25,000 men have played NFL football. But you still to this day, I believe, are 23rd in that list in yards from scrimmage as a rusher. When you combine that with your check down routes and all your big plays with receiving, you weren't just a big play guy that could get it done and go to the Pro Bowls, Rookie of the Year. Like, let's just remember the sports part of the journey, because your career is nothing short of remarkable. When I look back, 5 seasons with Tampa Bay, a bunch with the Falcons, you find yourself now as an owner, a minority owner, a limited partner with the Falcons. And you described it as such, because you were part of that fraternity and you could be a dual threat, you could do so much. I remember watching you play. You were just that spark plug. One of your teammates who tackled you every day in practice always would say, or tried to tackle you. Defensive line on the Bucs said, tough as nails. He was the toughest player that I ever played with. Constantly, right? Knock down, back up, let's go. And I think that's the ultimate tribute. A man that's resilient, overcomes adversity, finds a way, and then all the way to the owner's box. And when Arthur Blank asked you, hey, do you want to coach? What do you want to do after football? You said, well, I kind of like it here. I kind of like it in that box. But what you said publicly was, Darrin, or I knew that I needed to be invited. And so you have been invited to a fraternity so tiny, right? And what does that feel like to now take that philanthropic spirit to and through your exceptional career? And I wanted to make sure we marked, right, that part of your journey too, the competitive part. But now, as a limited owner of the Falcons, tell us what that means to you as a leader.
It means a lot, because what it does is it gives individuals, younger kids, hope, opportunity, right? If you live a certain way, do things a certain way, I mean, it's hard to get into that fraternity, like you said. You have to be invited. And I just built a really good relationship. And, I just don't think sometimes people understand it's about relationships. I built a really healthy, productive relationship with Mr. Blank. And when I first came to Atlanta, I was, I think, his first free agent signee. And we talked about everything off the field in the community. We didn't talk about football. That was the least of our conversations, because we both were passionate about, he's a billionaire. He's passionate about helping the community, changing lives. And, he understood what my passion was about. And I just think over the years, we've just been great partners on things in the community, but also, with the Falcons. So it's life-changing. It gives people hope. I need to go out and make $1 billion so I can, become majority. That's hard to do, but just having that opportunity. But I also had to be smart with, the funds that I made, the money that I made. I wasn't the highest paid player at my position. I probably made, at the most $5-6 million for a year or two. At the most 3 years. I mean, I had to really manage money, and I did that because I had really tried to live my life on need. And people don't know this. I didn't buy my first car till my 8th year in the league, and I bought one because I left Tampa and moved to Atlanta. So, I really just tried to spend money on need and not necessarily things that I want. So, I wish if you look back, I look back on the era that I played in. I was trying to make sure that I wasn't a scat back. They used to call us scat back in the day. Today, that's like normal back, today's game. But I wanted to prove that I'm not just a guy that you use on third down. I want to be able to run inside, outside. I wanted to make sure I can break tackles. The way that I pushed myself, I trained was just different. I worked out 3 times a day. When I went home in the summer times, I worked out 3 times a day because I felt like I needed to prove and be ready for that moment. If my numbers called, I need to produce. And I just think over the years, I even had to prove to Coach Dunn that I can take the pounding, that I could carry the ball. But in my career, I only averaged 14 carries a game. I mean, when you look at other guys on the rushing list, they're close to 20, right? So I'm only 37 yards shy of 11,000, but I have over 15,000 yards of total offense, right? So I'm only one of like 15 guys in the history of the game to do that. And, I just thought that because you're small, undersized, I wanted to prove week in and week out that I was one of the best, that I could play with whoever. I wasn't afraid of a challenge. If this guy thought he can do it, I knew I can do it better. I just grew up with a chip on my shoulder, and I was that competitive. So I think that really helped drive me. But I was also in the mindset that I always had to prove that I belong. Even when I started playing football at 7 years old, I was the last guy picked when we started playing street ball. After 2 games, I was the first guy picked because they couldn't tackle me. And that really was my mindset, is that I always have to prove that I can play at a high level. And, I'm just fortunate that I was able to stay healthy. I played the game in a way, I ran it in a way that I protect myself. I didn't take big shots, but I enjoyed it. I had a great time. I wish I could have got more carries so that I could make more people miss. But if I played in this era, it could be a little crazy because I would hopefully make a lot of guys miss. They don't tackle as well as that when the era I played in, so I could hopefully make a lot of guys miss. I have to have the same skill set, but that I had before. If I had the same skill set, same mentality, then hopefully that I would make highlights a lot.
Well, trust me, as we end this time together, Warrick, we know who you are. We know what you do, right, and we know why you do it. And it's deeply humbling as a friend who's seen you speaking to at your football teams or in Israel or interacting in your hometown, at the Super Bowl, on the main stage, and in the private places. I know your heart, and I know what you stand for, and we are so proud of you at the World Sports Philanthropy Conference. We thank you for providing us with this amazing opening keynote, which has been inspirational, but it's also moved us to transformation, to think about what we need to do to be a better version of ourselves so that we, throughout the next couple of days, can learn and grow together. You've inspired us. We thank you. Last word to Warrick.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, thank you guys for having me. But what I would tell individuals and what I tell athletes today is that we all find things that we're passionate about, right? It doesn't mean that you need to go out and start your own organization. Today, why duplicate services? Why not go out and support other individuals that are doing it? Grow that network, that bandwidth. And I just really try to push guys to do that, because if you start a nonprofit, I start a nonprofit, someone else started, we're all competing for the same dollar. Why not create partnerships to really create a bigger impact long-term for individuals for that, whatever cost that is. So I really just try to, tell guys that when you start a nonprofit, you have to be financially responsible, yes, right? That fiduciary responsibility is huge. And if I had to do it all over again, I probably wouldn't even started a charity, because just so much of the responsibility, the board meetings, just, the responsibility of using, if you donated to the charity, I want to make sure at least 80 cent, 85 cent goes towards programming. You have to pay people to do that, but you want to make sure you have the bulk of that money that's really going to the people that need it. So it puts a lot of pressure on you, but I'm just thankful. I'm happy that other individuals can take what I have done and learn from it, improve it, make it better, make it grander. We come to different communities. We'll support any community there is. We're not just in the South. We've been to Topeka, Kansas. We just left Denver. We were in Iowa earlier this year. So we're starting to expand. We've been to New Jersey, Detroit. So we're not just in the South. Most people just think we're Baton Rouge, Atlanta, Tallahassee, and Tampa, but we're expanding our footprint. We even been to Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So we're about expanding our footprint to impacting families in a positive way, life-changing.
Indeed, you've done that. You are the quintessential pro. Thank you for being part of this opening keynote. We will talk again very soon.
Over and out. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Thank you.